Do mechanics bleed brakes when changing pads? The age-old dance of brake maintenance, something every car owner encounters sooner or later. As a Portland, Oregon resident where the hills and wet weather can be tough on brakes, I've definitely had a few run-ins with the whir and grind of brake pads telling me they've reached their twilight. So let's dive into the nitty-gritty. When mechanics are switching out your old pads for a fresh pair, bleeding the brakes isn't always a package deal. It's like getting a haircut and then asking about a beard trim. It might be necessary for some, but not for others. Here's the technical lowdown. Bleeding brakes is all about keeping the brake fluid pristine and air-free, ensuring your pedal remains as responsive as Bruno Mars on the dance floor. Air in the lines? That pedal gets mushy, like stepping on a week-old peach. Not what you want in a quick-stop situation. Changing pads is a bit less dramatic, but just as vital. Over time, pads wear down thinner than a politician's promise, and that means less stopping power for your road warrior. It's basically swapping out the pads and giving the rotors a polite handshake. In an ideal scenario, if your brake fluid is looking darker than a Portland roast coffee or it's been more than a couple of years, a mechanic might suggest bleeding the system to enhance those fresh pads. However, it's not an absolute must every single time the pads are swapped out. Some mechanics might perform a quick spot bleed, or just bleed the line at the caliper they're working on, particularly if they had to compress the caliper piston and notice some air bubbles or dirty fluid. Whether you're cruising through the Pearl District or preparing for a trek to Mount Hood, the key takeaway is to listen to your trusted mechanic. A good one will steer you straight so you can continue to brake smoothly and safely, rain or shine.